Kanye's losing his mind.
This week, Kanye went on a media blitzkrieg. He threw so many stones at the Jews, he's now an honorary general in the West Bank, which is soon to be the only bank that will accept him. JP Morgan actually canceled his account, so the only transaction Kanye is going to have is when Caitlyn drops off the kids. So what exactly did Ye say? Well, Hungry Hitler went on Drink Champs with the most bloated cheeks I've ever seen on a human. The guy looks like a Ninja Turtle just had a root canal and proceeded to spout off more hate than a West Virginia water fountain. He claimed George Floyd was killed by fentanyl. Wrong. Kanye, we have video evidence of a throat getting crushed, and don't worry, Kim's not in it. He blamed the Jews for trying to silence him. Yay, the only Jew that's ever kept your mouth shut was the dentist that wired your jaw. I hear some people saying Kanye did bring up some very strong points. Yes. These points. That's it. Kanye isn't the free thinker he claims to be. He just regurgitates the talking points of the latest pseudo-intellectual leech around him. The only original thoughts Kanye's ever had are Amber, Kim, and Julia. So, is Kanye insane? Selfishly, I hope he is. I'd rather believe this is the behavior of a guy battling bipolar disorder than accept I've been supporting a black skinhead for decades. So my message to you, Chipmunk Cheeks, is simple. Get better. Better friends, better therapists, better perspective on the world, and better meds. And good luck, because you're going to need it.
Even with Kanye, right? Like, I see Kanye as like this guy who's just wildly insecure, and he's trying to justify his coolness constantly by taking things that are not cool at all and making them cool within a community. Within his community, right? So it's like everything Kanye does, like down to, like it started with like the WASP culture. I'm going to take like preppy New England, you know, polos that are pink and shit, and I'm going to make that cool. Now, before, the hip hop community, I mean, I grew up in New York, we were like, yo, that's some gay shit, bro. What the fuck is that? Now Kanye wears this like, nah, you got to look fly in these pink waspy things in my khakis, whatever. Then he takes grunge culture, right? If you've seen rip sweaters and all that kind of shit, that's Seattle Nirvana shit. But he's like, yo, I bet I'm so cool, I can make it cool, right? Then he takes dad sneakers. I'm so cool, I could, yo, you think my community loves cool sneakers? I'm gonna make dad sneakers cool. And then what is the most uncool thing to his community?
What? Trump. Yeah.
And what does he try to make cool? It's selfish. Is all about him.
Interesting.
All he cares is about proving that he's that dude, and he takes the most uncool thing and puts it on his head, and he's like, yo, I'm going to make MAGA cool. And that's when people are like, at least his community was like, nah, we're not going to play with that shit.
You know what I think? You know how like you have something that's supposed to take like 8 volts? You have like a charger.
Yeah.
Well, like when you plug something into the wall, like we have alternating current. Like you could have something that takes way more amperage.
Right.
I think Kanye has the wrong plug to the universe, and in a good way.
Okay.
Where that motherfucker's getting like 100 volts all the time.
Yeah.
You ever talk to him?
No.
I talked to him on the phone, and it was a stream of consciousness that was so intense. I was like, okay, now I get it. We had a long conversation. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
We had a long conversation for like 15, 20 minutes on the phone, which is a long conversation these days on the phone.
Yeah.
Who the f talks to the phone anymore? He does.
Yeah.
I think he's getting 100 volts, bro. I think he's got design going through his head and new song lyrics and new fashion and all this and I think he's just catching whatever he can and holding on to it and wading through the waves.
To fill, though.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Joe, to fill.
There's a little bit of that, but with him, it's almost like affirming that he's okay because he's so much different than everybody else. Like Elon Musk. You know the Google Drive? If you try to put up the Kanye episode of Drink Champs, you know that they had a podcast, and this was the original podcast that got Kanye in trouble. If someone uploaded that to Google Drive and they deleted it, this is wild shit. Look at this. Google Drive has allegedly been going into people's personal storage and delete Kanye West Drink Champs interview. Like, people have tried it. Your file may violate Google Drive's terms of service.
Oh, wow.
Because in that conversation, he said what things that they consider to be anti-Semitic. What do you think about Elon Musk buying Twitter?
He showed up today with a kitchen sink or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that means. He said, let that sink in.
Is that what it was? I didn't know if he was saying I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at you or let that sink in.
He showed up at the headquarters carrying a sink.
Well, he's unpredictable. He said he's going to make it a friendlier place.
Yeah, for all sorts of ideas. So look at him there, walking in with the he's such a character.
It doesn't look like a kitchen sink.
That's
so
a kitchen sink.
It must be sink in.
No, well, it's a sink.
Yeah, it's a sink.
Not necessarily a kitchen sink. Just what a funny gimmick. Well, he doesn't care. I mean, he is a very unique individual for a guy that's that wealthy. You know, when he put a photo of Bill Gates up next to the pregnant man emoji, and he said, if you want to lose a boner real quick. I mean, what billionaires dunk on other billionaires?
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, a guy who's a super genius tech billionaire.
It'll be interesting to see what he does with the platform.
Yeah, very interesting.
I'd hope he does something constructive with it.
Well, hopefully to encourage people to do what we're talking about here and actually communicate and exchange ideas and not just insult each other and keyboard bully.
Yeah. You know, I just hope people take away from what we're talking about what you said in the beginning without having to have some catastrophic nuclear strike or something. We are all in this together, and we need to remember that. And I remember I was born and raised a Baptist, and then I switched later in life to a different religion. But this pastor used to talk about how, you know, God talks to him and all that stuff. And I remember I was like 12 years old, and I said, oh, they never talk to me. And he said, well, you better listen really hard or he might do something to get your attention. And I thought, oh, shit, I want to really start listening so he doesn't have to do something dramatic to get my attention. I really hope we wake up before something happens to really get our attention and remind us that we are all Americans. You know, do we need to get shock therapy, or can we all just say, you know what, enough's enough and too much is too much? We're all Americans. And
even if we're not, we're all human beings. That's the way things are supposed to be done. When you really want to solve a problem, you got to let both people talk, and you got to figure out who's right and who's wrong. And that's why censorship is so dangerous. Because the correct answer to censorship, like this whole Kanye West thing, you know, Kanye West is being canceled by all these organizations. The best way to handle Kanye West is the way Lex Friedman did. Have a conversation with him and correct all the things that he's saying that you think are wrong, or that you think are generalizing, or you think are misrepresentative of the truth. But that's not the world we live in today. The world we live in today, we want to erase people if we don't agree with them. And the problem with that is it scares people into communicating freely because they're worried that they're going to be erased next. So they'll conform. You're forcing people to conform to a very particular way of thinking, and it reinforces these ideas that you have to be a part of this one particular group of ideas and thoughts. And if you're not, there's consequences to that. And so people self-censor.
Well, you know, I said I had a focus group every day, the title of which was You Can't Say That.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad?
Yeah, there you go.
You can't say Mom and Dad anymore?
Yeah, you can't say Mom and Dad anymore. And so, and we can talk about these, but I asked the audience at one point, how many of you are afraid to say anything right now because you don't want to get targeted? And it looked like the wave. Everybody said, oh, yeah. Mom and Dad was, someone said, well, we don't have a mom and dad in our home. We have a mom and mom, and so it makes my child feel funny. They said brainstorm.
What?
Was offensive to people that had brain injuries.
Oh, my God.
that it was an ableist thing.
Oh, well, if you have a fucking brain, if you move and walk, if you're brainstorming, you're using your brain. Is running offensive? Is it offensive to people who can't run? Should the Olympics be canceled because the Olympics are ableist? What the fuck are we talking about?